and also how to become a paid member. I guess it's week 7 already, but if you are wondering, you can fill out our PPS membership form here or on our email, pay the membership fee to our Venmo here, and then email our IVP Alley. Of course, remember to keep track of your stamps on your virtual stamp sheet, which will be included in an equal opportunity drawing at our end of the year banquet. And for our PTCB question of the week, we have a pharmacy tech must administer 1,000 milliliters of solution at 75 milliliters per hour. If the set delivers 20 drops per milliliter, the flow rate in drops per minute will be, and we have about a minute or so for this one. So Dana, can you set up a poll, please? Okay, are we good to go?
I think there's a couple more people who haven't voted yet, so maybe we'll give them about like 10 more seconds till we reach a minute.
All right, so most people got it right. Good job, everyone. So the way you do this problem is you would take 75 milliliters per hour and multiply that by 20 drops per milliliter, and then divide that by 60 minutes per hour to get 25 drops per minute. So this is really similar to like a lot of the questions you'll see like in chem with unit changing and stuff like that. Okay, and recap, thank you everyone coming out to our week 6 general meeting and social. I hope everyone had a great time playing games with us and de-stressing before the midterms. And also thank you everyone coming out to our West Coast University virtual visit on Saturday. I hope you learned a lot about their PharmD program. And one more recap, thank you for everyone who came to the UCSD CSHP meeting on last night, right? Last Tuesday night, and learn about asthma and e-cig awareness. And for a volunteering opportunity, we have DreamLab. So what is DreamLab? It's essentially an app that uses your phone's processing power to help conduct scientific research. It runs calculations as you're asleep, and these calculations help scientists do their research. Where is this? You can do the mobile application here. And if you're interested, you can fill out this form by tonight for a stamp. Because this is sleeping and it uses your phone while you're sleeping, deadlines tonight, maybe like take a nap or something after PPS so you can take advantage of that. If you have any questions or concerns, please contact our president, Jenny.
Hi, everyone. So we have an upcoming event this Saturday. Our lovely board interns are putting together a little volunteering event, which will be taking place from 8 to 9 p.m. And you get to write letters and decorate the little cards for healthcare workers. And this is a really cool opportunity for you to connect with those people in need, lift up their spirits and have a really awesome day. So if you want to email hospitals your cards directly, we're gonna have a space to do that. Or if you want to actually take your card and physically deliver it to after our little session, hey, that's even better too. So it's a great opportunity for you to give back to your community and express gratitude for everyone that tries so hard and works so hard to keep everybody healthy and happy. So if you're interested, we have our Google form that's due tonight 11:59 p.m. and a fun little thing is that paid members will receive a stamp for attending. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can definitely contact Quay at her email on the side. And for an upcoming event, we have our last meeting of the quarter. Woo! That's next Wednesday, May 19th from 6 to 7 p.m. If you're interested in applying to pharmacy school, this is a really great place to kind of, see where it all ties together, and it'll be hosted by our very lovely President Jenny. And so if you have any burning questions about how to apply, or it all looks, I think it's a really great opportunity for you. Paid members do get a stamp for attending as usual, so you guys can add it to your raffle card at the end for banquet and such. And you can always come earlier if you want to mingle with us as usual. Any questions, comments, or concerns, reach out to our EVP, Dana. And also, we've got our last episode of our ZotRX podcast with our own alumni, CU. She's really cool. I love her. You can find us on all these outlets, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, list goes on. Very exciting. Why should you listen to the last episode? Well, one, it's our lovely ZotRX, so you must. And two, CU is a P3 at the University of Michigan, so you get to learn about her story and her journey. So really, really cool. Learn about her and how she's so fun, like navigating throughout her own path. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can direct them to our fundraising chair, Ryan, at his email on the screen. And yes, the long-awaited end of the year banquet is coming up. If you have not yet signed up, you still have time. It's taking place on Saturday, May 22nd, 7 to 10 p.m. It's going to be on Zoom, but we're still going to have a really fun time. We did it last year. We'll do it again. It's a really great opportunity to celebrate the end of the year with our PPS family, and we do appreciate you all coming out. So it's a moment to celebrate you and then how much we did for this year. If you're interested, you can fill out the Google form to register by Friday, May 14th at 11:59 p.m. Any questions about the event, feel free to direct them to our social chairs at their emails listed. Thank you. It'll be so much fun, guys. Come on, it's Disney. Okay. Sorry, I had all the sugar today, so. Okay, and our fundraising corner. So we are still having these ongoing fundraisers. We've got our custom stickers designed by our very own publicity chair, Christine. Look how adorable. If you'd like to purchase, it is $2 per sticker, $1 for shipping, and you can buy free stickers for free shipping. Very awesome. We also have a thing with Krispy Kreme where you buy a dozen glazed donuts for $10, and then you get to receive your purchase in week 8. So order. It's really cool. And we also have like this vintage sale for 2019-2020 t-shirt. Feel free to purchase it there. It's $3 per shirt, and you can pick it up on campus. And we've got our end of the year evals. So PPS thrives on your feedback. You guys are what helps make the club run. And so it would be so amazing if we could get some of your feedback on your unique PBS experience this year. It's an opportunity to have your voice heard, and we love to see like what we can improve on for next year. If you're interested in giving us your opinions, feel free to fill out this Google form by Wednesday, May 19th at 11:59 p.m. So week 8. It's coming upon us. You also get a stamp if you're a paid member when you complete it. If you have any questions or concerns about the eval, contact our president, Jenny. And also, as a part of our banquet, we have the Riddle Me This, as you guys know. So if you stay to the end of this meeting, you get the riddle, and then, yes, the Google form for the banquet. Yes. Exciting. Sorry, there's not much to say with this. Finally, stay connected with us. These are all of our outlets. Feel free to talk to any of us on our social medias. We got our Facebook, our Instagram, website. We got the Zoom study rooms open 24/7. Pop on in and study. We got our Discord, Spotify. And of course, if you're looking for a place for all of our recaps, which are recorded, they will be on this as well. And now, drum roll, please. Oh, just me. Okay, so please welcome our Gap Year panel. We've got Rachel, we got Errol, Janelle, and An. Is he here? Did I see him? Yes. Yay.
Alrighty, so unfortunately, On is not able to make it right now, but he's going to see if he can come in a little bit later. So, sorry, I just muted. We can go ahead and just get on started with introductions of our gap year panelists. So we can start with Rachel first. So please introduce yourself, your name, your year in pharmacy school, or if you already graduated, and what you are currently doing.
Hi, everyone. It's so nice to join you, first of all. My name is Rachel Roehl. I'm a current P1 or first year pharmacy student at UCSF. Since I'm a current P1, I guess I'll tell you when I graduated from UCI. I did that in 2019 with the biological sciences degree.
Thank you, Rachel. We're so happy to have you back. And next we will have Errol.
Hi, everyone. My name is Errol. I'm a current P2 at Western University of Health Sciences. And I graduated in 2018. And yeah, it's been a while. I'm glad to be here. Good to see some familiar faces and new faces too.
Great to have you back as well, Errol. And next we have the lovely Janelle, who has been here at a general meeting with us before earlier this year.
Hi everyone, thank you for having me back. So again, yes, my name is Janelle Agustin. I actually just graduated pharmacy school end of what month is it? End of March. I went to sorry, it's like that fine middle area, right? So I went to UCSF. I'm last of the 4-year program, so P4 now a PharmD. So my upcoming plans is that I participated in the match, and thankfully I matched. So I'll be starting my PGY1 acute care residency at Fountain Valley Regional Hospital. So it's nearby.
Congrats on landing the resident. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Okay, one more thing. I graduated from UCI in 2015 with a public health sciences major.
Thank you so much, Janelle, and congrats on landing your residency. So the next question we have is, why did you decide to take your gap year? And we can go ahead and start with Rachel again.
Yeah, that's a good question. So for me personally, I chose to take a gap year because during my time in undergrad, I also went to community college before attending UCI, and I lost a family member, but I never took any time off, and it greatly affected me. So I felt that I needed more time to myself in order to process things. Before attending graduate school, I didn't really feel like it was appropriate or fair to tell a pharmacy school that I could give all that I was ready to give in order to be a good pharmacist, student pharmacist in a graduate program, when I didn't really feel like that. So I wanted it to be a very amicable relationship, and they know as well as I know that I can give my best. So I felt the best way to do that for me was by taking a gap year in order to process everything. I also wanted to travel, spend more time with family, and yeah, that was about it.
I guess I'll go next. So I decided I wanted to take a gap year a little bit early on. So I was pretty burnt out after my 4 years. Burnt out is definitely real. You spend your 4 years in undergrad, depending on what major you are. You spend a lot of time studying and a lot of time being involved in a lot of things. So it was my personal decision. I wanted to take a break, just a year off, just to relax, just to de-stress. I took that time to find myself. That's also a thing. And just spend time with family and friends, things that I wanted to do before I make this commitment to pharmacy school. Because also depending on which pharmacy school you go to, 3 to 4 years, it's going to be another form of education. So you want to make sure that you're mentally prepared for pharmacy school. I think that gap year really did help me a little bit, just to be prepared for what was coming up.
Yeah, I certainly echo everything that Rachel and Errol has said of for me, taking that gap year was just to make sure I'm like as mentally prepared or like capable as I can be. So my reasoning for actually taking 2 gap years was 2 reasons. Was that grades, because I had a GPA that I was very not proud of, and also life does happen. But more importantly, again, just the whole not being mentally prepared, because 3 to 4 years is a commitment. I was, as well as Errol, like certainly burnt out after ending. Another thing too is I wasn't, or at the time I wasn't too sure like how much I really enjoyed pharmacy or not. I had a lot of like family like pressures of deciding a career early on, and for me that didn't sit well as much. And so it took me a little bit more time, like towards the end of UCI, when I realized, okay, pharmacy school is what I want to do, but I want to make sure that I'm more confident in this journey and be able to, again, present myself at the best I can be. So the initial plan was to do 1 gap year. And as I was doing that first gap year, I realized I felt I was being rushed, or more rushed than I anticipated. So I knew that if I did another year, that was, I was confident that I would do better the next year. And I'm glad I did, because I was able to hit, or going to UCSF, I was able to hit the ground running. I was able to do all these things. It's the stress and overloading of being involved never ends, but again, I was mentally prepared for it.
Alrighty, thank you all for sharing your experiences and for your decision on why you took a gap year. So the next question we have is, what did you do during your gap year, and what were the most notable experiences you had? So this time, let's go ahead and reverse the order, and we'll start with Janelle.
All right. So with that, I actually did a lot during my gap years, but again, I did 2 gap years. So I did a lot of reflecting, a lot of self-care, because again, being burnt out, you need a way to find yourself to bounce back up again. So I focused on 4 things. The first one was focusing on grades. Second one was getting more work experience. Third, saving for pharmacy school. And fourth, just being able to travel, because I felt like I wasn't able to do that as much. So for grades, I ended up kind of doing the reverse of what Rachel did. I went to community college after undergrad. So I went to Coastline Community College in Newport. I was planning just to take a couple of classes, just kind of take some classes like I got C in at UCI, just to show like my improvement and show my like improved foundations. But then I found out there's this thing called the California College Promise Grant, which for whatever reason gave me free tuition to community college classes. So I was able to take even more classes than I anticipated. And through this process, I did stellar on my classes, certainly bumped on my GPA. So that's something that I'm very proud of. For work, again, it's 2 years. So I did a lot of work working as a farm tech and like at CVS, so retail. Also went to like a closed door pharmacy that supported skilled nursing facilities. And I was also at an independent pharmacy. I also, during this time, volunteered at 2 hospitals, so CHOC and OC Global Medical Center. What else did I do? So I wrote this all down because this has been a long time ago. I worked as a tutor during this time. And then before pharmacy school, I worked as a camp counselor at an all-girls STEM camp, in which like we promoted confidence and like helped defy gender norms and societal norms as well. And I think that last experience was my favorite experience of my gap years, because at this time at this point I was accepted to pharmacy school already, and I wanted to dedicate that summer to doing something non-pharmacy related, because I knew I was gonna dedicate my life to my job's callings. So I think that was just a really great way, great way to still like incorporate science, but just see another aspect of science that wasn't pharmacy related. Now going on to the third point of save money. So during this point, I was able to like gain financial literacy, went into budgeting. And so I was able to, just track all my expenses, understand like where my money is going. And I think that's a really good precedent for me to travel. So that way I was able to travel without guilt, because I feel like all throughout undergrad, like, do I want to go to Korean barbecue twice this week? I'm able to financially support myself. But again, with budgeting, I knew where all my money was going, and I was able to travel and spend not just freely, but at least knowing what money I had in that category, that I can just dedicate it to my spending and traveling. And then also that was a good precedent for me in pharmacy school, because pharmacy school also is not cheap. I'm very thankful for going to a public school. And so I'm like leaving pharmacy school right now with $100K in debt, which is a lot still, but it also includes my undergrad. But again, just having a good precedent of being able to know where my finances are going and being able to chip at it early on. A mouthful, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you definitely made the most out of your 2 gap years. Some of the same things that Janelle said. I guess during my gap year, I also had to do I had some prerequisites I still had to take. So I went to a community college to finish them. That's one of the things I did. But probably the main highlight, I guess, of my gap year was just the traveling. Immediately once I graduated, I went back to the Philippines, which I haven't been there in since I was maybe 3 or 4. I spent a good 3 weeks there. It was pretty nice. Just traveling to a different country because haven't traveled before, and just that whole new experience. Well, it wasn't new, but it was it's new with how old I was at the time. But it was a whole new experience. Getting to see my family, getting to experience a new place and stuff. It was pretty nice. Just those 3 weeks of just being away from everything and just taking in all the air. The air is definitely different if you go to another country. Really, really different. But just being there, just relaxing and stuff, just not having to worry about school or just thinking about pharmacy school coming up. I didn't have to worry about that until next year. So I enjoyed that very much. Probably something I will treasure for a while, for a long time, I would say. I also traveled. The year after that, I had the summer before pharmacy school. I also was able to travel to Virginia, which is where some of my relatives live. And I got to travel around some of the states around that area too, Pennsylvania. And then I got to visit New York for the first time. It is really as big as everyone thinks it is. Got to take a lot of photos at different monuments, take lots of photos. It was super nice. That's something I'll also remember for a very long time, just being in a new state, because I lived in California my whole life. So I was when am I gonna ever get the chance to go somewhere else once I'm in pharmacy school? Because in pharmacy school you do get a little bit busy. You will have some time to definitely travel, but just being able to do all this before, not having to worry about school and all that, it was also it was super nice. And that's definitely what I got out of my gap year, is just being able to relax, just even for a little bit, and then just get back to business later on. And then in terms of work, I volunteered. I just volunteered at a pharmacy for a little bit. No work, no pay, but just getting valuable pharmacy experience is also important too if you're in a gap year, because you also want to be prepared too. And I think it's a good learning experience, shadowing your pharmacist, shadowing the techs, and just being in that whole environment really prepares you for pharmacy school as well. And that's everything that I experienced, as much as I can remember. But yeah.
Gosh, I feel like my gap year was not as productive as Janelle's and Errol's. So during undergrad, I guess I'll give you a bit of context as to why or how I utilized my gap year the way that I did. I was part of a program called Cope Health Scholars, and I actually volunteered at 2 hospitals during undergrad. I was a board member for PPS. I also worked full-time as a waitress through undergrad, alongside all of the other things that I experienced in my family. So I really wanted to maximize my gap year just by giving myself self-care, and really being able to do the things that I wanted to do outside of undergrad and pharmacy school that I felt like potentially in graduate school I wouldn't have the time to do. And for me, that was traveling. So it sounds really strange, but I prioritized traveling during my gap year, and that's really what I got to maximize it with. So I got to go to Hawaii for my graduation gift to myself. My boyfriend was also applying to medical school at the time, and we got really lucky and got to go to New York for an interview that he had. I got to go to Oklahoma and visit my family, as well as Kansas. Where else did I go? I think that's it. But I went on a lot of little small kind of weekend trips around California as well, to San Diego, to Monterey, to San Francisco. So I think for me, really optimizing my gap year, I knew I wanted to take one as soon as I got to UCI. It was really just finding out what I wanted to do during it. I was also applying to pharmacy schools during my gap year. So I felt like it kind of gave me more time to focus on my application and make sure it was well-rounded in the way I wanted it to be when applying to pharmacy schools, rather than kind of jumbling everything in toward the end, in the break between my junior and senior year. But other than that, yeah, I feel like they summed up perfectly kind of vacations are nice if you want to travel. It's a good way to do so. I only took one gap year, and it also during the latter end of my one gap year is when the pandemic hit. So things definitely got a little different for me. I had to utilize that first half really for my traveling. And if I had that second half, maybe I would have been able to do more. But I definitely got to spend time with my family, and I'm really grateful for that because I am about 7 hours away from them now. So I feel like I was able to build and strengthen my relationships with my family before leaving as well.
Thank you guys for sharing your experience about what you did during your gap year. It's amazing how you guys packed so much into one little year, or for Janelle, it was 2 years, but you all did so much during those years. And I'm glad it really helped you guys focus more on yourselves and find your own path into pharmacy. With that being said, I will now open the floor to the attendees if they have any questions to ask our amazing panelists. It can be gap year related or just questions about pharmacy school in general. And feel free to also ask in the chat. I'll be on the lookout for that too.
I have a question. If there was one thing that you would have changed if you had the chance to, and how you spent your gap year, what would you change? What would that be?
I can start us off. Again, I get 2 gap years. I'm graduating, so it's been quite a while. This may sound cliche, but I don't think there's anything I regret not doing in my gap years. I think during my gap years, I'm just really proud of myself of being able to advocate for myself, of doing that extra gap year, because now in the beginning, I did kind of experience like comparison my friends who have already started pharmacy school like right after undergrad, or took that one gap year, thinking that I might be behind a little bit, but then just really taking the time to reflect and thinking that, okay, well, there are the reasons why I did this. And I'm very proud of the path I chose. The one big thing for my gap year I wanted to do, again, was that summer dedicated to doing something non-pharmacy related. And I ended up doing that. So yeah, I have no regrets.
I guess some just regret I had is just like, I wish I would have I would have made every single day count. Like I know there's some days when on the days when I did like travel and stuff, I spend like my whole my time doing it. But during your gap year, you have a lot of free time, and a lot of the time that I spent was most of it was at home, just not doing as much stuff. Also, because it was also like pretty like hot during the summer and like all those days too, California weather and all that stuff. I wish I would have like reached out to more of my my friends from undergrad, because once I graduated, I lost contact with a lot of them, which I was pretty sad about, and I wish I would have hung out with them even more during like gap year and stuff. But definitely, if you do decide to take a gap year, make every single moment count, because then you're gonna move into pharmacy school. Maybe you won't get that much time to do stuff, but yeah, just that's something I would want to some advice I would give.
Yeah, I agree with Errol. I think I really prioritized myself and my family, but I wish I would have given more time to my friends during my gap year. A lot of my friends who graduated in the same year as me actually went to pharmacy school without taking a gap year. So while I was still in Southern California and near them, I really wish I would have made more time and spending with them. Because now that we're further apart, obviously, and we're all in pharmacy school, it's a lot harder to find time to do things together. But aside from that, one thing I forgot to mention, sorry, I'll just take a little bit of time here. I hope it's okay. During my gap year, I also got to help form Anteaters in Pharmacy, the Alumni Association. I'm sure you guys have heard about. I know we work pretty closely with PPS. So I think I also really got to focus on that. And I just want to say I'm glad that I included some form of pharmacy relation and leadership during my gap year because I didn't want to lose touch with that completely. And I kind of feel like it helped progress me or propel me more toward discovering why pharmacy was my passion. So if I could have, and there were more opportunities to give more time to things like that, I think I would have done that as well.
Thank you so much for your answers, you guys. I'm so proud of all you.
Alrighty, so I see we do have a question in the chat from Ashley. She asked, how did you know how to manage your gap year? Did it feel uncertain and lost at the beginning? Did you have any peers or mentors to guide you? And if so, how do you find/connect with them?
I guess I can go if you two are both okay with that. So I think managing my gap year time-wise for me, this may sound weird, but it wasn't really a priority for me because my gap year was strictly just focused on self-care. I didn't really want to place any kind of deadlines on myself or burdens to make me feel stressed in any way that I should accomplish things by a certain date or time. So as opportunities arose, such as going to New York for my boyfriend's med school interview, I kind of took them. Maybe things where I would have said no before because I had such a strict schedule, I really found the enjoyment in having the freedom to just say yes and do things and not have such a structured plan. So sorry, I feel like my answer kind of goes against what your question is asking, but that's really how I utilized my gap year. And I did feel a bit like uncertain, I guess you could say lost in the beginning. And that's maybe because going from such a structured time in your life as undergrad where you have class from 9 to 5 and then your organizations that you're a part of and you study and you hang out with friends, and a lot of the time when you graduate your schedule is kind of just open and free during your gap year unless you're working or doing other things. So I struggled with going from always having my schedule packed to having nothing, but I definitely found ways to fill that in. I never really got to focus on things like cooking as much as I wanted to, and during my gap year I would fill in times with that and learn more, read a lot of cookbooks and different kind of techniques. So I think it's kind of to each their own and how you utilize that time, how you structure it, and then you have to find the things that help you feel a little less lost. To answer the latter part of your question, any peers or mentors to guide you? Personally, I didn't have any. I'm a first generation college student. No one in my family is in the medical field. And most of my friends didn't take gap years going to pharmacy school. So I didn't really feel like anyone had similar experiences to me. And again, I think if the purpose of my gap year was to raise my GPA or take courses at community college for prereqs, then I would have sought out those resources. But personally, I think for me, it was really nice to self-discover what I needed in self-care while taking care of myself without having an outside source kind of help me dictate what that was.
Oh, I can go. So I think most of the time, you sort of know why you're taking the gap year in the first place. Whether it be you want to, like we've all been saying, whether you want to travel, you want to get your grades up a little bit, you want to take a break. So I knew I was going to take a gap year like a while, like probably like a long time before I graduated. So I sort of managed, I thought I sort of did some self-reflection. I said like, why am I taking this gap year? Why should I take it? Is it going to be beneficial for me? And then once I finally like made the decision like, oh, I'm going to be taking this gap year, I just kept thinking about like, oh, what am I going to do in this time? Like, it's going to be a year of like no school. You have like the freedom to do what you want to do, you know? You can, yeah, like we've all been saying, traveling and then do stuff. A lot of self-care as well. I couldn't go like without any like self-care, because self-care is definitely important. But in terms of managing it, like I looked at like the time period from when I'm gonna apply to pharmacy school, when I'm gonna travel, when I'm gonna do my prereqs, when I'm gonna spend time with friends. You sort of like you sort of find ways to get busy in any way, in any little way that you can. So that was just like how I managed my gap year a little bit. Like Rachel, I also didn't have like a mentor. I just sort of went into it. But the good thing about PPS is that PPS, there was also like, they also had like gap year panels when I was still a student there. So just like seeing me on part of the gap year panel was like, it's very surreal. Like I was in your guys' place too, hearing about this. And I was just like, you know what, I think that would be a good idea for me too. Like something I want to do just to, before I start on like the next part of my journey.
Yeah, this question is a really great question. Thank you so much for asking this. So I just want to make sure I get every part. So how did I manage my gap year? So for myself, I'm very task oriented. As I was explaining what I did earlier, I like prioritize the 4 things. So going to my gap year, I prioritize like what did I want to accomplish during this year, and throughout the year and my self growth, I started to include more of like financial literacy. Like that didn't come out in the beginning, so I just added on later once I started to talk more about friends about finances, because I feel like that's something that's very stigmatized that really shouldn't be. So that's how I manage my gap year. I'm also the kind of person that always feels the need to do something too. So I just utilize my Google Calendar as much as possible. Like, okay, priority here is work, priority here is like the classes I take. And I even just put in like the gaps of time, like just to dedicate to do nothing as well. Because if I see something on my calendar, then I'm just going to try to do something out of it. So no, I knew I needed to just take a break at times as well. For the uncertainty and loss in the beginning, for my right after undergrad, I didn't feel that way because I was so task oriented. However, since I did push it back a year, I did start to feel that uncertainty because that wasn't something I envisioned. But just having a really great support system helps in that regard. Also trying to block out any of those comparisons, or again, just any family like stresses, and just really find like that really good support group that's just going to be there for you. In regards to peers and mentors to guide you, I don't know if I consider them like official like peers and mentors to help me. So throughout throughout undergrad, most of my healthcare friends were like medicine, PT, OT, like anything but pharmacy, or at least my closest friends. I do have friends in pharmacy, but my closer friends were all the other ones. So it was really nice to at least talk to my med school friends too, who are taking those gap years and not feeling alone. In regards to mentors to guide me, I have a significant amount of pharmacy experience prior to pharmacy school. So just being able to reach out to the pharmacists that I really connected with and be able to ask them my questions. It can be scary at first, but I mean, if you work with them and see them often, then you know them more than what their career title is. You know them as not doctor, etc., but their name. So that really helped me see the other side of the life outside of pharmacy, but also still being able to balance it all. So it was more of like a fluid mentor peers rather than something I initially sought out to be, but I'm very thankful for them.
Hi, so I have a question. I was just wondering, how do you maintain connected with your letter rec writers during your gap year? Because you're submitting your app later, 1 year later, after you graduate.
For this, I'm going to think about it a little bit. Again, I have quite a bit of time.
I guess I can go. So my letter of rec writers, I intentionally chose individuals who I knew would be easy to keep in contact with. I'm not sure if that fully makes sense, but I chose people who I worked with. So even though I was taking a gap year, I believe I took some summer courses at UCI after I graduated. So I was still on campus and still living in Irvine. So I was able to still connect with them, have meetings with them, and go over things. But other than that, I would say it became a bit difficult toward the end when you're getting ready to submit everything. If you don't have all of your letters already received from your letter of rec writers. But to be honest, I just kept pushing through email because at that time I wasn't in Irvine. And that was the only way I could contact them. If I also had their personal number and they were comfortable and I was comfortable contacting them that way, I did that. I was really fortunate and didn't run into many mishaps with my letters. So again, I may not be the best person to ask on advice for this, but I think it's very intentional. You should be intentional with who you ask to be your letter writers. Have a good relationship with them, know how to contact them, make sure they understand your timeline, because that will just make the process a lot easier. I also asked for my letters, I forget how long before I wanted to submit, but like a month at least, or maybe even more than that, before I wanted to submit my applications. That way, if I did run into any mishaps, I wasn't stressing toward the end. But yeah, I would say just personal contact. People are more receptive to picking up their cell phone than sometimes responding to an email. So I found that helpful for me.
Same as Rachel. I don't have too much to say that because Rachel, she beautifully said everything that I did. It's also important to it is important to just like know your letter of rec writers. If you have like a job or anything that you do that requires a letter of rec writer, maintain a good relationship, make them remember you so that if you try to contact them like when you need them, they'll remember like, oh, hey, it's you. Is it that time now? And then they'll be like more like responsive to you and all that stuff. That's how. So yeah, that's how it worked for me too. I just try to maintain a good relationship, and then when the time came when I needed their letters of rec, everything was like was pretty much smooth sailing after that. So I didn't have a hard time trying to contact them, and then they all gave me their letters, and then. End of story, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think I have too much to add for that. I'm trying to remember who I even asked my letter writers. But I do remember having one letter writer from a pharmacist I worked with for years, and they actually put off the letters or they ended up not writing it because they put it off too much. But thankfully, since I've had so many jobs at this time, I had another pharmacist who was willing to do or to write it at such short notice. So again, not too sure how to answer your question, how to keep in contact with them other than like, for me, since I kind of I still stayed in Irvine, like I still kind of kept doing what I'm doing, or at that point just added more things. So I didn't have to keep as much contact, but now thinking in a pharmacy school's perspective, I went through the match process. You still, by the way, everyone, you still have to ask for letters of rec for the match process. Like it's not done. So what I did for that, for people I haven't talked to in a year, such as like my work supervisor, even though I didn't talk to her for a year because I did my rotations in Southern California. So I had to quit and then move down here. So during that time, I would just send like emails every once in a while, just saying, hey, just want to check in how you're doing. I'm really involved. So I ended up doing like a project with her so that I just found ways to keep myself engaged with them, to keep that connection rather than doing these random emails here and there, like, hi, how are you doing? I didn't want to feel too awkward. So yeah, finding those avenues to still stay in contact with these people.
I guess one last thing to add, anything that you do it early. Do everything early, maintain your relationships early. Let them know that, oh, I'm gonna be reaching out to you very soon about letters of rec. Please keep me in your thoughts. I'm gonna need you to help me get into pharmacy school and all that. Yeah, just make sure you do things early. You plan ahead, plan accordingly, and everything should be able to work out in the end.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So I see we have another question in the chat by Fat. He asked, when you guys were taking classes at community college, did your grades get completely replaced for the classes that you took?
So I can answer that. It did not replace the grades exactly. It's more like an average of it. It's not kind of like UCI where if you don't pass a class, I think up to 16 units, it can replace it. GPA for FarmCast is different. It doesn't, that's not a school policy for FarmCast. It's, again, just an aggregate mean of all of your scores.
For me, when I took my class in the community college, so I had already got accepted to Western when I went to take classes. The only reason I went to community college to take classes was just for prereqs and stuff. So your grade didn't really matter too much. I'm glad that it didn't, because I took anatomy during my community and it's really bad. But yeah, it didn't. None of my grades got like replaced or anything. They were still the same because I got accepted like afterwards. So it didn't really change as much.
Sorry, I don't have anything to add because all of the classes I took at community college, I didn't repeat, so nothing was replaced for me.
Hi guys, thank you so much for being here today. The question I have for you is, I saw that a common theme within a lot of your stories during your gap year was self-care. And so I was wondering, what were some of the self-care practices that you guys engaged in? I think that would be really helpful to students like myself who are extremely stress prone, and I'm sure during this pandemic, it's not helping. So thank you.
I can go first since I think you both have gone first so many times. So self-care is really how you make it. When you're taking your gap year or just self-care in general, find something that you love to do, like whether it's a small task like painting. Painting is pretty relaxing. Exercising, watching like your favorite Netflix show. Those are like my types of self-care. But self-care is it's really just how you make it. You know, you wanna find something that keeps you relaxed, keeps you de-stressed to the point where like you're not thinking about like any problems that you're having. You're not like stressing out and all that stuff. You want to do something that you love to do, and you're not like and that's like not going to stress you out, even for just like a little bit. And like once you get into pharmacy school and just in anything that you do, self-care is super important. So always put that first above everything else. Another thing that's also super good with self-care is like hang out with friends is also pretty good with self-care. I make the mistake sometimes of like doing things by myself, but having a companion or just like someone you're really close to also doing self-care or just doing things that you guys love to do is also super relaxing. It's what's gotten me through pharmacy school and just through like everything in general too. It's okay to be alone sometimes, but don't be alone too much. That's just what it's just from my personal experience. But that's everything I have in terms of like self-care. There's like a whole variety of things you can do in terms of self-care, but the most important thing is just like do what you love to do. Like for another thing I like to do is I guess basketball is my favorite sport. So I play a lot of basketball during my my gap year, stayed in shape, played with people, and I played a lot of yeah, like games and all that stuff. It's been a while. I think that's like I remember doing that like a lot of times when I was like feeling a little under the weather or stressed. But yeah.
Yeah, so thank you so much for this question. I actually very much love this question, so thank you for asking it. So yeah, self-care, thank you for catching that theme. It's super incredibly important. Also for me, I was a SPOP staffer when I was at UCI. That's something like I actually like took classes about during it. And I attribute all of my like my importance in self-care from that, because that was something I definitely didn't do before. I kind of just did everything kind of like for fun or just try to be as involved as I can, but not taking care of just my personal mental health. So some things, or what Errol said, I think is really great. Just again, just finding what's important to you. So for me during this time, like during my gap years, I was able to cook more, bake more, just all the things that I enjoy for hobbies, because what are hobbies as a student, right? So finding out like, so I really like to hike. We all said traveling too, which is another way to de-stress, you know, being away from just from a very familiar place. Something that I did pick up during undergrad and that I still still do to this day is meditate too. Before I thought meditation was just, I didn't see the importance of it. I thought it was kind of boring of just like, oh, you're sitting there. But I think once I got past that hump of just why I'm like taking this moment to relax and just like just clear my mind, it just gave me so much clarity. So that's something I do. I think one of the apps I use is Headspace, which is really great. They have some free options. And as a student, I think it's like $10 a month. And then once you're in pharmacy school, there's one organization, if you're a part of it, they offer for free, which is really great because healthcare is also very important throughout pharmacy school. It's like one of the pillars as well. So again, just in essence, finding whatever you enjoy that makes you genuinely happy, and being able to balance it with all the other stresses of life.
Yeah, in the interest of time, I'll just be really short. I just want to echo everything that Errol and Janelle said. I really can't stress how much self-care is really individualistic. So whatever it means to you is what self-care is. A lot of ways to find that out can be resources such as friends, trying new things. If you enjoy a particular activity or hobby, like that may be your form of self-care. For me personally, I really enjoy baking and cooking. Those are two things that I kind of got to optimize and really learned how to take care of myself in that way during my gap year. I also utilize traveling and just spending time with my family. I also really love Christmas and doing like arts and crafts during Christmas. So I got to make like homemade wreaths and garland. That was really fun and something that I had never done before, and I found out I really enjoyed. So again, like my forms of self-care may be completely different from yours, but that doesn't mean they're wrong or they won't help out as much. It's really just dependent on what you find helpful.
Thank you so much, guys. This was very informative. I really appreciate it.
I think I have like, I think I just made this up, but do what you love that makes you love yourself. Ooh, that's good. I'm just kidding.
So if no one else has another question, I am going to ask, so some students might be on the fence about taking a gap year. Do you have any advice for students who are just really unsure if they want to pursue a gap year?
I guess I can start if you guys are okay with that. That's a great question, Dana. I'm glad someone asked it. I think if kind of similar to going back to what Errol said earlier, he watched the gap year panel during his time at PPS and at UCI, and kind of from there thought about, oh, maybe this is really for me. I think a good way to kind of determine whether or not a gap year is for you is if you're thinking about it, you can talk to maybe people who have taken a gap year, and maybe even people who haven't, and talk to them about their experiences in pharmacy school, how they feel, if it helped them in any way. And if you feel like you need it, then I would say, you know, it's ultimately up to you and based off of what you think will be best for you. I will just say, if I can urge you, your gap year should be utilized in some way though. Like, don't just take a gap year to take a gap year. I think it's important to know if you are going to take one, utilize it for travel and what that means to you. Self-care, if you want to get your grades up, if you have prerequisites, whatever it is, because I can guarantee you when you interview for pharmacy school, if you've taken a gap year, a lot of the time they'll ask you why and what you did during it, what you gained from it. So I would just say, make sure it's good for you, it's what you need, but then also have some reason why you're doing it. I think that also can help you utilize your gap year to the fullest rather than kind of just having a chunk of time where you don't really know what to do with.
Yeah, I think Rachel said that perfectly. I think all panelists have been saying everything perfectly, by the way. But, just have the intent for a gap year. And if you're still on the fence about it now, again, as you can, if you don't think you're ready for a gap year, just go through the process of applying and see if you feel ready for it. Because again, I initially did 1 year and then ended up doing a second one. And I'm very proud of my decision. Again, everyone is like teach their own of what they want to do with their journey. And for me to do that, I was very happy with it, even though it was very unintended. And then again, just what Rachel said, just having a goal of what to do in the gap year. And again, the goal can be like just wanting a break from everything. Like that's completely fine. You don't have to pack it all, like be super busy, but also at least just find your sense as to why you want to do that gap year.
Yeah, Janelle and Rachel both said it really well. So if you're on the fence about thinking about if you want to take a gap year or not, just reflect on yourself, why you want to take the gap year. Do you need it? Do you feel like it's something that would be beneficial to you? Because a gap year is very sacred, I would say. You have a whole year to decide what you want to do in that gap year. And like Rachel said, make the most of it. Don't just take the gap year and not like do anything with it. I feel like it helps, especially when you have like pharmacy interviews, to ask you, oh, what did you do in your gap year? And if you don't have a lot to say, then did you really have a gap year, or did you just like, just use that time? You didn't use your time like wisely, I would say. So think about the gap year. Do you really need it? If you don't need it, then that's fine too. A lot of people just went straight into pharmacy school, and that's fine. But some people, like my fellow panelists and me, we took gap years for various reasons. And I'm sure we all don't regret our decision, because in the end, it was for us in with everything.
Thank you so much for your answers. Honestly, traveling sounds so nice right now. I think we have one more minute. We have time for maybe one quick question. If not, if the panelists are comfortable, can you please put your emails in the chat for the attendees to possibly reach out if they would like to? All right, so if we don't have another question, we can go ahead and conclude the panel here. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming out. Hope you were able to learn a lot and get a lot of guidance from our amazing panelists today. And also thank you so much, panelists, for coming. We really enjoyed having you guys here, and we hope you had a great time as well. Alrighty, and before we head out, is it okay with everyone if we take a quick group photo?
Hello, everyone. So I'll be taking the photo. So if you could turn on your cameras, that would be great. Just time for some people to turn them on. Okay, so I'll be taking the photo now and doing a countdown. So 3, 2, 1. Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Alrighty, so next we are going to move on to the Riddle Me Challenge. Let me go ahead and share my screen for that. Okay, so as most of you know, so the Riddle Me Challenge happens at the end of each general meeting. We are going to send out a link for you guys to fill out the Google form, and each Google form will have 3 riddles ranging in different difficulties and point values. And you don't have to answer all the riddles, but remember that you can gain extra points for being the fastest to turn in your Google form with the most correct answers. And the person with the most points at the end will win an extra raffle ticket for the Equal Opportunity Drawing at Banquet. All right, so we're on week 7. We have one more week of riddles before it is all done. You guys got this. And before I send the link in the chat, So the answers to the riddle from last week was Belle, Jasmine, and You'll Be in My Heart. Go ahead and send the riddle out for this week. Here we go. Good luck, everyone. And that is the end of the meeting, but stay around for a bit and chat and chill if you guys want. There isn't going to be after social study just because our social studies are so busy planning banquet, but we can go ahead and stick around for a bit. I see all the panelists are still here. Hi. You guys eat dinner yet?
No, not yet. I don't know what I'm gonna have for dinner. I'm still deciding. What about you, Dana?
I have not yet either. I think I'm cooking steak today, so we shall see how that goes. I usually don't cook. I'm a baker, so we'll see how this goes.
Also, thank you again for inviting us.
Oh, of
it was
course.
nice. It was nice. It was nice being back.
Yeah, we would love you to be here always.
I
Yeah,
miss
thank
you,
you so
Errol.
Oh, Rachel, it's been too long. I should have hung out during my gap year. We should have
I
hung out.
know. It's okay.
It's okay though. You're in SF right now, right?
Yeah, I'm in SF right now.
Did you just finish classes, or are you still in class?
For the day or just?
Oh, are you done for the year?
Oh no, not yet. We still have, I think, 3 weeks left.
Oh, 3
Yeah.
weeks. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys are done?
This is my last week. I have just 2 more exams in my way, and then I'm done with P2 year. It's very
Best of luck.
exciting.
I believe
I'm very
in you.
stressed. I'm very stressed.
You've got this.
Yeah. Your UCSF is a 3-year program now, right?
Yeah.
So we should be graduating around the same time, right? I
Yeah,
think.
we'll graduate in the same
Perfect.
year. Yeah.
Perfect.
I know.
Mhm.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you. Oh, sorry, Errol. I just wanted to say thank you so much for inviting us back for the panel. I really enjoyed being here. It was nice seeing you all again.
Of course, we loved having you here.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you all again. I'm just gonna hop off now. Take care, everyone.
All right, bye,
Take care.
Janelle. Bye.
These riddles are so hard this week, right? Or
Oh,
is
I
it
haven't
just
checked
me?
it yet. Let's see.
Oh, I feel
I
like
only know one.
I feel like this one was easier. I was able to I
Really?
got it this
Mm.
time. Last week irked me.
Last week I knew all of them. This week I know like maybe one. All right.
Oh, I think we're still recording.
Oh,
We
that's
always do
fine.
that.
Harold can count it out. I'm so bad with recordings. Sorry, guys. I always forget.